So we'll just go ahead and jump in. So, Carl, what was your experience with evangelism like before this past Thursday?
So I first got introduced to evangelism during a school event. One of our teachers asked a bunch of students to come down to Parkway. He'd be handing out tracts. There wasn't a lot of training or background with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really okay, I'm just going to show up and see what it's like. And I was planning on going on a mission trip later that year. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I know what to say. I've gone to a Christian school my whole life, but I've never actually had to do it. So I don't know the process of what goes into it. And going with a track was helpful because it kind of outlined how it would kind of go. But
Yeah.
that was my first experience. And then from that point, I went on a mission trip and to Africa, and that was pretty cool because we got to learn how to share the gospel there differently a little bit because of the culture and just the problems that they have. And then again this year I went to Paraguay, which was another we did outreach and evangelism. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes, you've had some experience with it in the past, but maybe not a ton, maybe not all the time, but occasionally going out for the purpose of sharing the gospel. Do you think that with this event and going out with the purpose of having conversations and taking them in the direction of Jesus and having conversations about the gospel, do you think that that was helpful for you going in, knowing that this was your goal? Did that help you start those conversations?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you're going out there for a purpose and just being able to kind of prepare yourself about what you're going to talk about and just knowing that that's the mission, it does, because it creates the setting for it. One of the best things about mission trips, I think why evangelism is such a big thing, is it's the best excuse in the sense of people are why are you here? You're not from our country.
That is
and
true.
That's just the conversation starter. We're here with our church. We're here helping out at this school. Why? Why did you come? You know, you look different, so there's something different about you already. But here it's a little bit harder because it's just who is this?
Right,
Teenage
why are you talking
person
to me?
who's talking to me. There's nothing different about you, So I think that's just one of the interesting differences between coming here with that and then also going there.
Well, especially when you go to third world countries, because you're going and you're actually providing a physical service. So you are already having a relationship with them because they see how much you care.
Right.
Whereas whenever you come up to someone in San Diego at Coronado or Pacific Beach or wherever, okay, we're on the beach.
Yeah.
I get it. We're here.
Yeah.
And you're not meeting that physical need, so you have to develop a relationship a different way.
And it's not common that you get approached by people
Yeah.
here. So, usually when you do, you're what kind of scam is this? What are you trying to sell me?
Yeah, a bit more standoffish, maybe.
A little bit more closed off, because I think, just more isolated. I want to do my own thing. But just talking to people here, you don't realize how much there is that, eagerness to be talked to.
Right. And then once someone does it, then now all of a sudden doors are open.
Right.
Did you have any experiences like that, or maybe any other negative experiences where maybe the door just wasn't open, maybe they weren't receptive to what you were saying, or maybe there was something else that was just difficult for you?
Yeah, I think, it was so weird because I, for some reason, was so nervous to go for this one, and I don't know why, because I said, I was oh, I have the background, I've done this before. I don't know why I'm so nervous, but I was so nervous. I was I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm going to be able to convey it well, whatever. But then, going there again and talking to people, and I think our group was so good, and just the people that God put me with, which I was not expecting either. But just seeing that, and then seeing how the door was open because he already prepared, the heart of the person. But I think, that nervousness in the beginning definitely can shake people up a bit because it is scary. You were saying when we got there, this is terrifying. But one of the
And that's okay.
Yeah, it is, because it's stepping out of your comfort zone, and it takes a lot of courage to kind of, pry into someone's life in a way, because it's I don't want to be noisy, I don't want to be, offensive, but it's so cool to see how, that's such an eagerness. And I think one of the negative experience that we had was just we went up to this couple and they were just a little bit closed off. They were kind of listening to us but not really talking or just making eye contact, even kind of just
they're just kind of disinterested.
Yeah. And then we got to ask them questions about have you been raised in a church? They're yeah, we actually go to a private Catholic school. And I was okay, But there was just something, like, off. Like,
Yeah.
you can kind of tell. And I think that was the hardest part because our conversation leader was, like, really trying to, like, knock on their heart
Yeah.
and open them up. And they're like, well, my main value is, like, serving myself and, like, making myself feel happy, you know. And he was like, well, is there anything else? Like, do you feel... like, it was just kind of... It's hard when it's someone that knows, like, they're like, yeah, we've already heard this.
Right.
We go to a Catholic school.
They've been desensitized to it.
Right. And then it's like, he left and he was like, no. So he made, like, one of us go back and give them the pamphlet that we were, like, reading to them. Just to, like, send them off with something maybe to think about. But I think moments like that sometimes is discouraging because it's so hard because you want to, like, share with them and to really show them how much you care. But you're also, like, moving, like, quickly because you have other people to talk to as well.
Yeah, and if they're not interested, you have to really balance, man, how long do I have this conversation with these people who clearly don't care?
Right.
Versus,
do you just leave them?
Right.
Or do you press in more? Or
and that's difficult to figure out sometimes.
Right.
And, you know, even in those conversations, it's so beneficial for us to have those conversations because they are here in the gospel.
Yeah.
And even when we don't recognize it, God is still working.
Right.
We had someone get saved. We had 2 people get saved, actually, on Thursday night, and one of them had heard the gospel so many times over and over, and then finally whenever this group shared the gospel with him, he accepted Christ. And it was a long line of people who had invested in him, who had shared the gospel with them, and they didn't see the fruit of that, but we got to play a small part in it. We just happened to be there in the moment.
And that's the coolest thing is, like, even if it's like, don't be discouraged, you know, like, don't let that one experience, like, throw you off or make you, like, worried about how you're doing. Or I think that's one of the biggest struggles with it is, like, am I presenting it well enough, or am I, like, saying the right things to actually, like, get results? But then our definition of success, right, isn't getting results. Like, it's just being obedient in the sense of, like, you're going out there, you're sharing gospel, you don't know their heart, you can't know their heart, and you're just doing your job, and you can pray for them, but it's not a reflection of you.
Right, and even if they do come to Christ, that's still not a reflection of you.
There's nothing to, like, take pride in or boast about. Like, the best thing is knowing that you went out there, like you said, like, you're a successful being here. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. Like, that's something that I think a lot of people in ministry, that I've seen at least with going on mission trips, there's the expectations of what it should look like. And, like, you have to have this experience where you change lives and, like, people.
And that's just, that's out of our control.
Right.
We're not called to do
that. And taking that upon yourself is, like... That's heavy.
That's a burden.
That's a burden
that we
can
can't bear.
Really, that makes sharing the gospel more of an obligation or, like, a pressure than actually, like, no, this is really exciting and I want to be excited about it, because when people see that you're excited about something that is good, it draws them in.
That's right. Did you have fun sharing the gospel?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And like I said, like, when I got here, okay, in the car I was a little bit nervous and I was driving here, and then I got here and I saw how many people were excited, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right, that's why, like, I love doing this, and it's so filling. It kind of reminded me, like, no, this is really exciting because we're going out and we're actually doing what we're called to do, and it's so filling. Like, you walk away just knowing that you actually did what you're called to do, and it's like, hooray. Like, it's amazing. And just to talk with people and to actually, like the nerves were overshadowed by the excitement, which it was like, yay, it was so nice.
Well, I think so many people get so nervous about sharing the gospel, but once you do it once, all of a sudden it becomes so much easier in that moment. Now, you know, in 2 weeks, whenever you go to do it again, it's difficult again. You have to break that wall back down. But in that moment, after that first conversation, you go, oh, okay. Even if it's not a great conversation. You know, even if they are completely disinterested. And even August talked about how one group just turned around and walked away without saying anything. And that was their first conversation of the day. That could have been so discouraging, but you go, man, I'm still here. I'm okay. And then I can just go to the next conversation.
Like, it's not dependent on how they react. Which I think is so encouraging, because if you are dependent, then it's like, I'm not doing my job right.
But then you're going to be so discouraged from that. And that's one of the reasons that we always talk about success in evangelism is just doing it. Right? But by being there on Thursday night, 60 people were successful in going out to share the gospel.
Yeah, and I think that took me like a long time to learn because it was just like the growing process of being put in different like situations with how you share the gospel and who's leading you in that. I think that's so important of like giving you tools to just not even like worry about it. Like you know what you need to say, you know, and then you know how they're gonna respond one way or another, you know, and that's not your job to control that.
Right, and that's okay. Either way that they respond, you're just being faithful.
Yeah.
What was maybe a highlight of your time?
Oh my goodness. I just think like, okay, there's I think 2 like main highlights from that night. The first one was the first guy we talked to. His name was, can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, his name is Jesus, which was pretty funny because that just like opened the door. Is that how
he pronounced it?
Yeah, he's like, my name is Jesus. He just told us that, and I was like,
okay.
One of the guys was like, Jesus? He's like, yeah. But he was kind of like, just calm, you know, he was an older man. He was just nodding to us, and I was just listening to the conversation. And he was leading with questions like, what do you value, and what's important to you, and like, what do you believe about the afterlife? And he just went straight into like, I'm scared of dying. Like, that was the first thing.
Respect for the honesty.
Yeah, I was like, no, like, we don't usually touch that, like, so early, or just, like, that open, but he just said, like, I'm scared of dying. And then the guy kind of explained, like, that's why we're here, like, we're here to, like, offer you hope in that. And he was telling us, like, how he's about to become a grandfather, and, like, that's put a lot of perspective in his mind about his family and, like, where his family's gonna, if his family's gonna be okay, and, like, all of these things.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool because he even asked us, like, why am I scared of death? Like, why? Like, death is death. Like,
and you don't even have to try to open a door. He's opening it for you.
Yeah, he asked us a question. I'm like, that's so special. Like, people asking you questions that you can really just be like, well, it's that separation of what's known, but God, like, sent his son Jesus to die and to walk through that, and he conquered it, and he's, like, a familiar person. Like, he's someone you can trust to carry you through that, because you don't know what's going to happen, but he does. Like, he's already been through it, and just being able to say that, he was really touched, I think, and he was willing to pray the prayer, and he was even waiting for his wife, who was over in, like, a different area, taking a phone call. He's like, I want my wife to come hear this too.
That's awesome.
And it was so cool, but we didn't actually end up getting to the wife, because she was talking to a friend whose husband had recently passed away. Wow. And we were able to tell him, like, hey, maybe this was specifically so that you could pour into that family. Yeah. Like, you got answers that you can take to them. And that was just really cool, because I've never had an experience where someone's, like, asked me questions about, like, death and where I'm going and, like...
Why do you think he was willing to ask you that question? You're a 18-year-old girl?
Yeah.
And he was, how old would you guess he was?
Oh my gosh, maybe, like, high 60s?
So, yeah, why is a man in his upper 60s willing to ask an 18-year-old girl why he's scared to die?
Yeah, I think it's just because it's such a feeling that we all have. And we were like, yeah, like, the idea of death is scary.
Yeah.
Like, it totally. And I think, like, I made eye contact with him, and I was like, yeah, like, you're right. But that's why we need this. And I think hearing it from people, like, we came out of our way. We found him, just randomly talked to him. He was just sitting on the side of the, like, pier. And we decided to talk to him about these questions, which probably he's had for a long time. But these conversations don't usually get brought up.
Right, and nobody's going out of their way to have them.
Right, especially if you're not, like, in a church, or if you're, like, I guess maybe the oldest man in the family, like, you're expected to have all the answers. You're expected to be the one that knows. You've aged, like, you've been through life, but then you still having questions is still scary, and it's, like, when you give them that setting where they can actually, like, ask that, it's like, well, yeah, that's why we need to have those conversations, like, and I think that's mainly what it was, just... the fact that, because it was interesting, because that's actually something that the way that my dad got saved was in the same situation.
Wow.
Was he's like fearless, like, this man is fearless, but he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna die and whatever happens, but then in the middle of the night he woke up and he was like, why am I scared? Like, what is this? I don't want the people that I love to die. And that made him really, like, dig and search and see questions. So just seeing that parallel in like another man, I was like, whoa, like this is just crazy how the Lord uses that, you know?
Yeah. When clearly God was working in his life and his heart well before that conversation. And he had sovereignly placed that man there, because if y'all hadn't been going out to this specific area that y'all were, that conversation wouldn't have happened. Right. So God was working even before you knew that you were coming, even before you knew who was in your group, even before you met this man. He was working in both of y'all's lives so that you and your group would have the opportunity to share the gospel with him so that he would be saved.
Yeah, it's so cool. And that's why, like, you have to just go, because you don't know who's, like, waiting, because the hearts are being prepared before you go. And then you just, like, it's just so amazing to see how he's already doing, like, the sowing. And then you just come in and at the right moment, and he does all the work, and you just get to see it. Like, that blesses us, which is kind of cool, because we don't really do
encouragement,
anything.
Right? I remember when you got back on Thursday night, you were just so excited. I mean, you wanted to go back out there for 2 more hours. You were ready to go.
Because it's so, like, I think part of it was in the last moment. This was my other high. We talked to this group of teenage boys, and they were maybe 16, and one of the boys had a Bible verse on his jacket. And we were like, that's a cool Bible verse. And we were like, do you know what it says? He's like, no. And I was like, oh,